First session today on stage 2, I'm joined by Gillian Skinner, who is Marketing and Talent Specialist at Jameson. Hello, Jill. How are you?
Hey, Pierce. How are you? Hi, everyone.
Very good. Thank you very much. So Jill is going to talk to you today about how to build your personal brand to help you showcase your personality as well as your skill set to graduate employers. Just before I hand over to Jill, if you have any questions you'd like to ask her, please put them in the chat box below, and time permitting, we will put as many of them as possible to her at the end. You can also upvote a question if someone has already asked one you are thinking of. There's also a poll, so you're able to have your say on that, which you should be able to see now as well. So you don't want to hear any more from me, and with all the formalities out of the way, I will now hand you over to Jill.
Great, thanks so much, Pierce. And good morning, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. So as Pierce mentioned, my name is Gillian Skinner, and I am the Marketing and Talent Specialist for the Jameson International Graduate Programme. So we have a stall here today. So if you'd be interested in hearing more about the programme, we'd absolutely love to talk to you. So make sure to drop by, and you can either talk to myself or a member of our team. So as I mentioned, I'm the Marketing and Talent Specialist for the programme. So I look after the attraction campaign, which means hopefully you'll have all seen some ads pop up on your social media platforms. So I look after that. And I also look after all things recruitment as well. So I would look after our applications, screening, and then our assessment centres as well. So essentially, that's my role, and it's what some people will know me for. Although outside of this, I have a personal brand, and we all do. So this session will outline how to leverage your personal brand to get the job that you want. And it will give you an overview of the importance of a professional online presence, an understanding of how to market your personal brand using social media. And finally, I'll leave you with some simple steps to take to improve your chances in today's job market. So just like corporate branding, personal branding is a representation and a manifestation of you on an individual level. When we talk about personal branding, we refer to establishing and promoting what it is that you stand for. Your personal brand is a unique combination of skills and experiences that make you you. It's about creating a voice for you online where you can identify and amplify your online and offline reputation and presence. So I'm here today on behalf of the Jameson brand, but not to talk to you about Jameson, but to talk to you about the brand that is you. So do you have a personal brand? So the fact is we all have a personal brand. And this is the perception that people have of you based on your online and offline self. So when we think about, how to build your brand, years ago, we used to call it a reputation, but now more and more it's being referred to as your personal brand. So sometimes when we think of a personal brand, we think mainly online, but it's just as much about the offline brand as it is about the online. And it's not about how many likes you get or becoming famous. It's about being aware of the perception others have of you from your on and online self. So think about it this way. Have you ever met a friend through a friend, and before you met them, you had heard all about them? So in essence, that is their personal brand. So looking at effective personal branding and what it is and isn't. So an effective personal brand will differentiate you from others and help you stand out. It allows you to take ownership and control of the personal brand that is already being created for you by your online data. So it's about taking control of how you present yourself online. You ensure that people see what you want them to. By showing your personality through social media, you can gain more opportunities and career options. And what your personal brand isn't, it's not measured by how many followers or likes you have. It's not just about becoming a social media influencer. It's not about becoming famous, and it's not meant to target everyone. So then to give you, I suppose, a real life example. So this is my professional brand. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm the marketing and talent specialist for the Jameson International Graduate Programme. And I've been with Irish Distillers for nearly 3 years now. So this is how I'm known in my professional capacity. And you can see through my LinkedIn, which I've shown there below. And feel free to reach out and connect with me. However, my personality, like all of you guys, is multifaceted, and there's loads of different areas that I am interested in. One in particular that I'm interested in is health and well-being. So I am a qualified life coach. I'm a qualified yoga and meditation teacher. And I'm also a qualified nutritional advisor. So everything in the realm of health and well-being really, really interests me. And this is the personal brand that I would portray through my social media accounts. And my preferred social media account would be Instagram. So I would call my life coaching, my yoga, my meditation, I would call them my super strengths. And this is something that I've been lucky enough to be able to weave in through my professional brand in the past few years. So I've been able to bring my interpersonal skills that I've learned from my life coaching course into my day-to-day job. And through leveraging that, I've actually launched a mentoring program amongst our brand ambassadors. And then in terms of yoga and meditation, I've shared this with our brand ambassador networks various times throughout the years, and then also with the wider global team within Irish Distillers. And then I've also brought my business acumen into my day-to-day job. So as you can see, your super strengths can be woven through your professional brand as well, and they can often work hand in hand with each other. So looking at, those super strengths and turning them into demonstratable, employable skills, and always thinking about it from the perspective of an employer. So the last 5 years, employers are beginning to Google you. So if they see a CV coming in, the likelihood is, that they'll go onto Google, they'll put in your name, and a fact is that 1 billion names are Googled every single day. So it is vitally important to display a skill that could be of value to a potential employer. So let's just say a skill around photography. So then it would be very natural for you to have an Instagram account to share your talent. Similarly, if you were into videography, it would be good to have a YouTube account to showcase your skills there. So you could be thinking about demonstrating what you're you could be demonstrating that you're an enthusiastic graduate who is willing to work hard. However, remember that every other graduate is trying to convey the same message. It is therefore highly beneficial to clearly demonstrate additional relevant skills that could be of interest to an employer. And social media provides the perfect platform which to demonstrate skills, even if you haven't used them in a commercial environment. So I would highly encourage all of you to be proactive with your personal brand. As I said, they're already, your brand is already out there through the online data that is there. So be proactive and take control of it. So think about, what are your strengths? Identify them, and how can you improve on them? And also know that, it's okay if you don't know them straight away, but take your time, maybe reflect, ask the people around you, and recognize them and develop them. So next, let's look at identifying your social media mix. So there are lots of social media platforms available, and each one has its own strengths and weaknesses for graduates. I would say that LinkedIn is an absolute minimum requirement. And if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I would highly encourage you to set one up after this talk today, or have it on your to-do list. Next up, we have TikTok. So TikTok is a new and great way to showcase a snippet of the things that you're passionate about, your skills, in a very short video, and we can see that this is particularly popular, as it's mentioned quite widely through applicants through our program. Then, as I mentioned earlier, YouTube is excellent for showcasing longer form content, and also if you're interested in videography. Twitter in particular is a great platform that provides a good way to build a personal brand and informally connect with users who may be of interest. And then within Jameson, Instagram is a great social media account for us to build our graduate program brand, as we have over 40 brand ambassadors in 35 markets globally. So as you can see, each platform plays its own role, and it's about identifying what will work for you, and the skills and the strengths that you are trying to portray. So when thinking of your social media mix, it's obviously very important to draw a line between your personal and professional social. So I would encourage you to think about the social media accounts that you have for your personal life, and do an audit on it, review them. And I think a good rule of thumb is, if you wouldn't show it to your mum, would it be online? So that's always something when you're reviewing to bear in mind. And if you want to keep certain things up online, just make sure that you've locked down your privacy settings for your personal and professional. So I would say, drawing the line between your personal and professional social is very important, especially if you're in your final year and you are looking for a job. And I suppose, thinking about looking at your social media mix, it's about identifying which ones are for your personal and which ones are for your professional. So as I mentioned there earlier, LinkedIn is, an absolute minimum requirement, and definitely, it's a platform that you should utilize and leverage. So if you were to take one takeaway from this talk today, it would be to make LinkedIn your new project. So I've just given a little checklist there. So have you signed up to LinkedIn? Do you have a profile? Are you actively identifying and connecting with companies that you want to work for? And have you started building and leveraging your network? So these are all things to keep in mind when you're updating your LinkedIn profile. And we're going to talk a minute about networking. So I think sometimes networking can have, a bad connotation, but communication and networking are absolutely key in building your personal brand. I would say, when you are networking or communicating, to be absolutely, honest about what you have done and be, completely authentic. But social is a great way to network without it being, as without it being daunting, and it's not as scary as you think. So I'd highly encourage you guys to get active and start interacting with industry experts and managers on Twitter. Start posting interesting updates and join group discussions on LinkedIn, and update your LinkedIn profile. And then if you're in final year, keep an eye on job and press releases from your target companies. So as I mentioned, 1 billion names are Googled every day. And if you are, starting to think about, what job you would like next year, I would say at the another piece of work to take away from today's session is, just simply Google yourself and see what comes up, and see what is coming up as your personal brand, and put the hat of an employer on, and look and see what you can find, and based on that, have a to-do list on editing your social accounts that are already up there, and then thinking about what demonstrable employable skills that you want to be showcasing more of, and how you can do that through your online presence. So finally, I'm going to leave you with a social checklist. So after today's session, if you want to troll through your social accounts and delete any contentious posts or tags, and remember keeping the rule, if you wouldn't show it to your mum, should it be online? So going through it with that eye, lockdown and privacy settings, if you want to. Identify the companies you want to work for and their social channels. Tailor your content to your chosen profession. So we were saying there earlier, if it's photography that you want to get into, and make sure that you are clearly demonstrating that skill through your social channels. And then be searchable and use your network. So it's about reaching out and leveraging your network and connecting in with the companies that it is that you would like to work for. And then finally, I will just leave you with this. So if you are interested in the Jameson International Graduate Programme, just a reminder that our online applications will open mid-October, and they will close in the 1 p.m. The 23rd of February 2022. And if it is something that you're interested in, we would love for you to pop by our stall today and come chat to us. And also we have, I have our social media channels there, our website, and then also we have created a podcast on Spotify, the Jameson Graduate Programme podcast. So if you want to hear more from us, please do connect in with us. And that is it from me today. Thank you very much for listening to me. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
That's great, Jill. Thanks so much for going through that. I think it is a bit of a minefield, the social media, especially when you have to have the two kind of sides to your personality out there. Thanks so much for everyone who sent the questions so far. Do keep them coming, and I'll try and get to as many of them as I can. The first one here is actually very interesting and kind of get straight to the point, which is, what advice would you have for someone who isn't on social media at all and just doesn't think it's, maybe for whatever reason, mental health wise, they don't want it, or just not something they're interested in? What advice would you have for someone who's just not on social media at all?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair enough. And I think, you always have to look after yourself first. So, if the reasons are that, you want to look after your mental health and you don't want to be, on those channels, you think it might affect your mental health, then I think, fair play to you for recognizing that. But I do think, I spoke about it there. I think at the very minimum, having a LinkedIn account, like I do think, like at the very minimum, having a LinkedIn account is kind of is crucial. So like I would highly encourage them to just at the minimum, and like, there's ways you can, if it's that like you're on your phone too much, there's simple ways around that like, just don't download the app, that you can just, have scheduled time during the week where you go onto your LinkedIn profile and update it. But I would highly recommend that at the minimum, having a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, because at least with LinkedIn, it is a little bit more of a safer space, I think, than maybe, the likes of, Instagram and Twitter, which maybe you open yourself up to a bit more to criticism from maybe outside, whereas LinkedIn's not that kind of environment. And what about someone who has social media but is maybe an introvert, and they're trying to get out there and showcase their personality a little bit, but they're finding it tough? What advice would you have for someone who's maybe a little bit on the shyer end of the spectrum?
Yeah, I think it's thinking about different ways that you can do it. So if like I'm an introvert myself, so speaking to a fellow introvert, like if it's things like coming on to stories, or speaking to camera that they're not feeling comfortable with, about recognizing what you are and what you aren't comfortable doing. But then I suppose it's bringing it back to the skills that you're trying to portray. So if they're into photography, you can still be an introvert, and post nice photography pictures. So I think it's about thinking what your super skills are, and how you project that image, and then it's recognizing what you're comfortable and not comfortable doing. But I think it's always good getting a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Like they say, a comfort zone is a beautiful place, but nothing ever grows there. So it's about, like, you never want to do anything that you're completely uncomfortable with, but it's good to push the boundaries a little bit, and especially if it's a certain skill that you're trying to project to potential employers, then I think it's just thinking about how you could do that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's again, really, really good practical advice, because you're going to be out of your comfort zone more than likely when you start your graduate career, maybe probably from day one. So maybe trying to do that as early as possible is a good thing. This is an interesting question, which is, I think people are used to using maybe the likes of Facebook, maybe less so these days, but Twitter and Instagram on a daily basis. But I know you touched on it briefly in your talk, Jill, but can you give examples of how to use TikTok and YouTube for your personal branding? Because I think people might associate them very much so with the more of the personal end of things. So like, especially with TikTok, which is one of the newer, social media platforms, how could you use that to showcase your professional brand?
Yeah, I think like it's a really good question. I think it's, it goes back to, what the individual is interested in and what their skill set is in. So I'm just trying to think of an example there. Okay, so say for the Jameson International Graduate Program, obviously, a key part, it's an international program, and we look for candidates with serious character. So they're people that are creative, innovative, self-starters, and who aren't afraid to get out of their comfort zone. So say if we got, a candidate in, like that's the profile that we are looking for. So if they had say a TikTok profile, if I went onto it and I saw, that they had a real, taste for traveling, if they'd made, a 30-second video of, where they had traveled to in, the past however many years, or if they had a side business, that they had that tagged on their profile page, that I could look into it to see, that they're a real self-starter as well. Like even like our marketing assistant for the program last year, like Podge, he had his own podcast, and that's a skill that we that he leveraged while on the program as well. So he had different videos up on YouTube. He was like really big into content creation, so we could clearly see that through his YouTube channel, and he'd also created lots of TikTok videos as well. So it was showcasing his content creation skills. So I think it's about thinking about what are your super strengths, and then what are the platforms that will best amplify it.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you don't have to distill everything about yourself, do you mean, into a 5 or 10 second video. And if you didn't call it the podcast as well, I'm going to be extremely disappointed. This is a question is specifically relating to Jameson, Jill, which is about, do you have an internship program for maybe second or third years? And if not, what advice would you have for someone who's maybe in second or third year, not, towards the end of the degree just yet, who's maybe thinking of joining the program in the future?
So unfortunately, we don't have an internship program. So it's the Jameson International Graduate Program that we offer. But sorry, I didn't get the second part of that question, Pierce. Is that what advice would I give them if they want to go or to if they want to join the program eventually?
They're in maybe second or third year, so they're not having put a huge amount of thought maybe into their graduate career just to date, but they've seen this presentation that, this international graduate program sounds like something that would be good for me. It's the brand I want to identify with, but I'm in second or third year yet. I'm not in the place where I'm going to be applying directly for programs. How can they begin, maybe getting the skill set they need ready to apply for the program?
Yeah, so I think it's about taking the actions from today, and I put out that checklist. So like I said, we look for people with serious character. So we look for people that are creative, innovative, self-starters. We look for people that take the job seriously, but still have a laugh along the way. So have that kind of nice balance. So I think it's about thinking of are these skills that I have, are they skills that I could work on? If I'm working on them, how could I amplify them through my social media platforms? I think first of all, it sounds like you're doing all the right things so far, like even attending the Grad Ireland Fair, attending this talk, like even doing things like that, like you're already on the right track. I would say definitely like pop by our stand, like chat to one of us, and keep the lines of communication open, follow us on our social media channels. Like we're always like we're very active there, and I'd say just keep the lines of communications open with us, and come chat to us as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I think research is kind of the takeaway from there. Like, obviously, look, you've got the stuff on Jameson have a profile on the Grad Ireland new platform. There's your own career site as well. There's loads of places to be looking. I think we'll try and squeeze one more quickly in, which is just around, can you basically have, if you're on Instagram and you use it for, personal use, should you just have set that to private, or is it possible to have two accounts on Instagram, one personal and one private?
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the content that you're putting out. Like if you're if you're happy with others to view the content that's there, like there's no need, like you can keep it, like you don't have to lock it down. So I suppose it boils back down to the question, like what do you want to come up when people Google you? Like, so if what's on your like public Instagram account, like are you happy for a potential employer to see what's there? So there's like no right or wrong answer here. It's about asking, it's on an individual level, so it's asking yourself those questions, and then you can figure out the answer for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it always obviously comes down to each individual person as well, like you said there. So that's all we have time for in the first session today. So thank you so much for your time today, Jill. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone watching does as well. And thank you to everyone watching for all of your questions. Sorry I couldn't get to all of them. I tried to put as many of them to Jill as I could. Just a quick reminder: if you join halfway through any of the sessions today, and you missed the start of it, or you just want to watch it all again from the start, the video will be available from on demand right here as well. So the next session on this stage will be taking place at 5 to 12, and it's going to be a panel discussion focusing on advice in starting your graduate career. So make sure to tune in for that one. But until the next time, thanks, Jill, and thanks everyone for watching.
Okay, thanks, guys.